Hi, it's Susan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to get some color on some paper, and I have some ancient watercolors that I have not used in years, and some that were gifted to me from my mother-in-law, and they belong to her mother. So I just kind of trying to use some stuff up, be able to throw some stuff out, get some color on the paper. And I'm not trying to do, I'm not somebody who paints something to look like something else. I just basically, like I said, I just want to get some color down and see what happens here. And all you watercolor artists that are out there, sorry, I don't even have the right brushes really that I want to use for this, but one of the other things I want to try is my spray bottle and my little foam thingies. Yeah. Although that is gonna get rid of a lot of the color until the thing gets saturated, but it's okay. I just want to get some light colors on here so that it's not just so it's just not plain old white paper. And this is, depending on what I stick it on, this one was a distress spray tray, so who knows what color I'm going to end up with on that. And that's okay. If I don't like the way a page turns out, then I will tear it up and use it for collage paper, and that works too. So what I'm trying to do is get more papers done for my flowish journals that will hopefully, I can get at least the first 10 of them in the shop in January. And so I'm going to fill it with a variety of papers, and I'm not so sure how much ephemera, maybe a few pockets full of ephemera, but you know, I want to make them, I don't want to make them so expensive, so filled with stuff and so decorated and so expensive that people can't afford them, because that just takes all the fun out of stuff, right? Let's get some mud in there. It's just a very tiny bit of orange left, and that'll kind of add something else. All right, so I have no idea what's happening on the other side. Let's take a look. How much of that? Ooh, cool. Huh. Let's make sure everything's nice and wet. I'm kind of liking the direction this is going already. If I could use up this tray of watercolors, that would be superb as far as I'm concerned. Let's see, what if I just dab my sponge? If I had more energy, which I did not have, I was going to actually dissolve my bottled watercolors into spray bottles, but I might do that after the first of the year, but I'm not doing it this time. I just want to get some stuff on paper, and I could do some stencils over them or some other mark making things, and I can do that on another layer, but at least let's get rid of the white first, and we will see how far I can get. And I'll probably just work my way through the various colors. How about if we get water on the thing first? We need a lot more water in the paint. I'd forgotten. It's called watercolor for a reason, right? And I've contaminated now not one, not two, but 3 other colors. Oh, the horrors, I am sure, from those of you that do this a lot. When I'm doing first layers, I don't care. And the watercolor is not my go-to color thing anyways, so I'm okay with stuff kind of just going all over the place. That's fine. That's what layers are all about. And of course, every paper is going to take stuff differently. So let's see, I am filming this on the Friday before Christmas. And we have no decorations up because basically everything is still buried in the garage with renovations and stuff. And I'm okay with that because we're not having anybody over here. We're going to my in-laws for the holiday, which is just like a half an hour away. And then they're coming over here for New Year's or New Year's Eve. Alright, what other color can we? There's still a little bit of orange left. So we can get some more. It will make some mud, and that's okay because that'll kind of go with the grungy look. Yeah, I really prefer spray bottles, but if I do the spray bottles, then I need to go find a big box that I can use to spray things in because I am a very sloppy sprayer. Super sloppy sprayer. So this is my last mess making day before Christmas, and not because we have people coming, but because I do want to clean up the house. I did huge tassel making, some of it on live stream and some of it after, and then I've been doing some other paper prepping stuff. I don't like that. And basically the floor all around this desk is just covered with stuff. That works if you squeeze it out. There's my spray bottle. If in doubt, throw water on it, right? Let's see. Shades of purple. Way too much water. I'm not a real fan of these cakes of watercolor just because it's not something I'm super experienced with, but that's okay. All this stuff, of course, dries much lighter than we see here. But hey, and of course, it's just like, spatial stuff, I don't judge well, so, I've got a gazillion different kinds of watercolor out here, and of course, there's no way I'm going to go through all of that in, what I hope is only going to be like a half hour to an hour. I don't want to go over an hour. If I keep it shorter, you guys all tend to watch more. Thank you for hanging out with me while I make a mess. And I hope you will leave a thumbs up, even if you don't have time to leave a comment. If you could leave a thumbs up for me, they always make me smile. I am looking forward to 2020. I've got a lot of plans for videos. I've got plans for projects. I've got plans for me, for some healthy stuff for me. We tend to always do that, right? At the end of the year, we want to make these resolutions to be healthier. I want to make mine much more manageable this year. Because, if you could do it with something that you just don't have a hope of achieving, what's the point in that? Let's see this. I'm going to check this first one and see, is it just sucking everything away? Yeah, I know it's watercolors and they'll come off, but I get color. Okay, there's a little bit of color. So definitely we'll be doing a second coat on these things, but that's all right. I can come back over this with maybe with some sprays. All right, my cake's already drying up over here. So if you like to play with watercolors, let me know what it is down in the comments that you like to do with them. One thing I like to do is when the paper is still wet, I like to put a stencil over the top of it. I don't even go to the hassle of, trying to do the paint through the stencil. I just let it dry with a stencil or a doily over it, and that gives it some neat texture. And of course you can put salt on it and let it dry, and that gives you a kind of neat effect. I really wish I had a round brush, and I probably do out in the garage somewhere with all my excess supplies, but not here. It is okay. It is all okay. I even remembered to put something down to cover the wood on my desk. I hardly ever remember to do that. Used to have a glass topper on it, but I bought this desk used on, it's one of those old oak teacher desks, and I bought it used on Craigslist, and it came with this glass topper, but it hung over the edge, excuse me, it hung over the edge like 5 inches, and it was taking up much more space than I needed it to, so I got rid of that, and I haven't gotten around to getting it. I just want to go down and get a piece of plexiglass Ooh, that's a pretty blue. That is a pretty blue. Oh, there's a lot of that blue, so we can do a lot of blue pages. So I'm thinking the first batch of flow journals are going to be kind of a hodgepodge, but I might still try and group them somewhat by color, because I think most of us tend to, even though we're working often by a theme, we do tend to work, you know, this book's going to be mostly blues or purples or greens or what have you. So I'll try and do something like that. More water. At least I'm not doing this on a hot day when everything would dry as soon as you get it on the paper. And make the tool fit the job. So it is not the case with me on this, because this brush is way too big for the trays where the little cakes of watercolor are. Alright, I chose blue because that had kind of like a blue-green thing here. Put some more there. Yeah, so maybe that'll be one of my projects, is to mix up a bunch of, I've got the spray bottles, and I think I even know where they are, which is a major accomplishment, right? It's just to know where they are. So if I mix up a bunch of my tube watercolors, into spray bottles, it'll go really a lot faster. What I'm going to do is I'll probably just paint a few pages here with the camera going, so you guys will know what I'm doing, and then turn the camera off and do as many as I'm going to do, and then show you when they're all dry. Because I'm going to guess this is sort of, this might actually be painful for people that actually do watercolor stuff. You know how it is, you're watching somebody and you're thinking, no, don't do it like that, don't. All right. The other thing I'm going to do when I turn off the camera is go find brushes that are a little bit smaller. All right, we got color. Now let's spray a little, because that's going to make it wick up in places and not in others, which will give us a neat look. We can kind of tilt it. I love drips. Who doesn't love drips, right? All right, one spot doesn't want to, there we go. I did the other side. Yeah, I did the other side. That was the first one. So what are y'all hoping to find if you celebrate Christmas? If you don't, I apologize, but what are y'all hoping to find under the Christmas tree? I would like to see, okay, well, I'd like to see my kids wrapped up under the Christmas tree, but that's not going to happen. There are a couple books about working with textiles in collage and art I would not mind seeing under the tree. I don't have a big thing of wish of things that I need. I mean, I don't need anything. You know, there's always wants, but those are different. I don't need. That's the thing, as you get older, you just don't need things. You want to see the people you love, but you don't need things. I'm looking forward to going over to my in-laws and having just a leisurely day where we snack on good food. The dogs play, although it's supposed to be raining, so it'll be harder on the dogs. But, you know, even when they can't go outside, they seem to find a way to keep themselves amused. That is a pretty blue. I'm working on a blue digital kit right now with thoughts of the ocean. So here's a crafty question for you. What do you wish you knew how to do better with your arts and crafts. What techniques do you wish you knew how to do better? I would say that I wish I knew how to do watercolor better, but I'm not compelled. I mean, you know, I could get good at it if I spent the time, but I obviously don't want to spend the time learning the techniques. So you gotta have the case of the gotta-wannas. That's what I used to tell my writing students. If you don't have the gotta-wannas, it's not going to make, you know, you can have the best idea in the world and you're never going to finish the story, because if you don't want to, you don't want to. And ain't nobody going to make you do something that you really don't want to. All right, let's see. What other color? Oh, we got some greens we could use up. So what would I like to get better at doing? I would like to get more patient with actually stitching things into something. I tend to rush it and then I run into problems, and you know, so that's not a matter of technique, that's actually a matter of patience. Well, right now I'm doing a lot of stitched landscapes, so I think I would like to get better at fabric collage. Yeah, I would like to get better at fabric collage. This should be another, yeah, just a deeper blue. Actually, in 2020, one of my plans is to do a lot more of actual collaging, because that's how I first got into art, was doing torn paper collage. That was the only art class I really ever took. At least it was the first one. Maybe I've taken a few online things since then. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe a couple. But the first one I took in person was, and it was when I was writing all the time and I was dealing with writer's block and I needed something to kind of, you know, get my brain going in a different direction. So I took this class on just basically tearing up pieces of paper and gluing them down on things. And I made some landscapes and just really, really loved it. And I would like to get back to doing that next year. It's one of my goals. That is a luscious color. Wow. I might have to do this on some other papers to use this color in a few different places. What do you guys like to, you know, when you watch somebody doing things like this, and if you want to be able to craft along with them, what kind of stuff do you like to hear them talk about? Zoe hasn't done anything especially exciting lately, so I can't really tell you anything about her. Well, the contractor came out today, and she was thrilled to see him because he's like one of her most favorite people in the world. But otherwise, grand old age of 8, she spends a lot of time just hanging out, napping, hanging out by the fire, hanging out by the window, taking lots of naps. You know, and in your old age, which, you know, for a big dog, 8 is not a youngster anymore. She's not old, but she's definitely not a youngster. And construction stuff has kind of slowed to nothing right now because the contractor is trying to help one of his families get all the renovations done so they can get moved into their house again before Christmas. So he's racing the clock on that. But I know he'll be back the first week of January because we have an inspection due mid-January. So he's going to have to come over and do something that can be inspected. Yeah, this is going to be kind of mud, and that's okay. I am okay with that for a layer because then I can come back over it with maybe something sparkly. Don't ever be afraid to make mud. Mud is just a layer, you know, and it's frustrating if you do it on your top layer, but you can always do something to fix your mud. I mean, this was deliberate, but you can always collage over it. If you've got something that's really thick already, just get a napkin or get the the back side of the napkin where stuff is, you know, just clear, and get something like that and put that on it. You can go over it with some gesso and just kind of soften it a little bit. You can go over it with any variety of paint colors, paint markers. You can keep some little scraps of handmade paper that's really lightweight, rice paper. You know, I don't know. Don't ever be afraid of creating, about trying something. You know, there are a lot of papers that I put aside and I think, oh, these are ugly. I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to toss them when they're dry. I'm just going to go ahead and toss them, throw them away. And then, you know, you tear them apart for a collage, or you sew a piece of fabric over the top of them, or, you know, you can always make something out of that nothing that you know, that you didn't like. You really can. If there's something you've done as a goof up that that frustrates you, let me know down in the comments, and let's all discuss how we might attack a similar problem. Oh wow, this tray's got some nice blues. This is like the third different blue. Obviously, it is a sign from the universe that I need to be working on ocean stuff, which it's kind of funny that I haven't done more of that in the past, because we live so close to the ocean. We're like 10 minutes away from the ocean, which is about perfect for me. I wouldn't want to live at the ocean. In theory, it sounds really nice, but plant-wise, there's not a lot that's going to grow there, so that would be hard for the gardener and me. And then you have tourists. I mean, we live just outside of a tourist town, a really big tourist town, so we get to go in the off-season and enjoy all these things that the tourists come down to in the summertime. The summertime, we just hunker down here at home. I kind of like the way the fingerprints make some marks on there too. That is a pretty blue. Let's give it some water so it can wick up differently. And flip it. I do not think I will be buying any watercolor cakes in the future. I don't know that, I mean, it's going to take me forever. Wait till you see the rest of the watercolor colors that I still have to use up. It's going to take me a long time to use them up. But if I tell myself maybe just once every week to come in and, you know, just do a few papers, fill my trays here with papers and get them colored and let them dry, and then I can start adding to them. Water, water, water. All right, let's see. They're all drying nice different colors. All right, let's see. What else do we have on this tray? I have not gotten any green yet. Might be just enough green to do one piece, at least in this tray. I know some people take the tubes and they put them back in the tray, but I'm thinking that's not going to be something that I do. I'm just saying, it is not likely. Let's combine these two greens. Some old ledger paper that I'm going to put in the flow journals too. I'm not sure whether I guess maybe I put one piece in that's plain and maybe one piece that's got some watercolor on it, so you'll have like a light color, but it won't be overwhelming. You can still do other things with it. sound like a plan? Maybe I should ask you to tell me in the comments, what would you like if you were somebody that was going to buy a flowish journal? And by a flowish journal, I mean a journal that is going to be loosely bound. It's just going to have a tie binding, kind of like my giveaway journal did. And it's going to be filled with a variety of papers and ephemera that you can just dismantle. And then it'll be a made cover, but you can basically take everything apart and rebuild it in the same cover, spread it across a gazillion other journals, tear everything up and make collage papers out of it. You'll be able to do whatever you want with it. So tell me what your favorite things would be to see. I'm going to de-stash all my scrapbook paper, just about all my scrapbook paper, not all of it, but most of it. I am going to put in some of my leaf impressions. I'm going to put in some of my eco prints. I'll put in some of my jelly prints. I've got some tissue paper, lots of patterned tissue paper. So if there's something else you'd like to see in there. Oh, envelopes. I'm making a bunch of envelopes out of, I had a ton of 6x6 scrapbook paper. So I'm going to do a bunch of that as well. All right, so I am at about half an hour, which is probably about all anybody wants to sit and watch me do watercolors. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not bad. So 9 papers painted while you guys were watching with me in about half an hour. That's all I've got for now. Happy holidays to everybody if you celebrate, whatever kind you celebrate. And if not, just have a great day. Be kind to yourself and be kind to somebody else. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.